Detach so deeply that nobody can control your emotions, your peace, your direction, or your future. The moment you stop needing validation from people who never understood your value, you become dangerous in the best possible way. Most people are trapped because they are emotionally attached to approval. They wait for someone to believe in them before they believe in themselves. They wait for permission to become who they were meant to become. But freedom begins the second you realize that your peace cannot depend on unstable people. You must learn the art of emotional independence, not because you hate people, but because you finally respect yourself enough to stop handing your power away. Every time someone can ruin your mood with one message, one opinion, one rejection, or one moment of silence, they hold emotional authority over you. And if you allow enough people to control your emotions, eventually you lose connection with your own identity. Detachment is not coldness. Detachment is clarity. It is the ability to love without losing yourself, to care without becoming consumed, to walk away without collapsing, to stay calm while the world expects you to react emotionally. The strongest people are not the loudest people. They are the people who remain centered when chaos tries to pull them apart. They understand that every emotional reaction is energy, and energy is life. So they stop wasting life trying to convince people who already decided not to understand them. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of emotional discipline. A version that no longer chases people who give mixed signals. A version that no longer explains their worth to people committed to misunderstanding them. A version that wakes up focused, grounded, and impossible to manipulate because their emotions are no longer available for public control. Most suffering comes from attachment to outcomes. You become attached to how people should treat you, how quickly success should arrive, how relationships should unfold, then how life should reward your effort. But life does not move according to your emotional expectations. The more tightly you hold expectations, the more pain you create for yourself. Detachment teaches you to move with purpose instead of desperation. Desperation makes people settle for disrespect. Desperation makes people beg for attention, over-explain themselves, and stay in situations that slowly destroy their confidence. Purpose, however, creates calm. Purpose allows you to walk away from anything that costs your peace. You must stop treating temporary emotions like permanent truths. Some days you will feel lonely. Some days you will feel rejected. Some days you will question your progress. But feelings are weather, not identity. If you react emotionally to every storm, you will spend your life changing direction every few minutes. People often fear detachment because they think it means losing love. In reality, healthy detachment creates stronger love. It removes control, obsession, fear, and emotional dependency. It allows you to love someone while still remaining whole on your own. That is real strength. The world constantly trains people to seek validation. Social media rewards attention-seeking. Modern culture rewards performance over authenticity. People learn to build identities around applause instead of character, but applause disappears quickly. Character stays when nobody is watching. When you detach from external approval, you stop performing and start living honestly. You no longer need to impress every room. You no longer panic when someone dislikes you. You understand that not everyone is supposed to understand your journey. Silence becomes powerful when you stop using it as punishment and start using it as protection. You do not need to attend every argument. You do not need to defend yourself against every accusation. Some battles only drain energy that could be used to build your future. One of the highest forms of self-respect is emotional restraint. Anybody can explode emotionally. Anybody can react instantly. But mastering yourself requires awareness. It requires patience. It requires the ability to pause before giving your energy away. Many people confuse attachment with loyalty. Loyalty should never require self-destruction. If staying connected to someone constantly destroys your confidence, peace, sleep, and emotional stability, that connection is not loyalty. It is emotional imprisonment. You cannot heal in environments where you must constantly abandon yourself to keep others comfortable. Detachment allows healing because it gives you room to hear your own thoughts again. It reconnects you with your intuition. Every powerful transformation begins with uncomfortable separation. You separate from old habits, old mindsets, old emotional addictions, and sometimes old relationships. Growth requires distance from the version of yourself that survived by seeking approval. The strongest boundaries are often invisible. You do not need dramatic announcements. You simply stop participating in things that drain you. You stop arguing with manipulative people. You stop overcommitting to people who never reciprocate effort. There is freedom in accepting that closure will not always arrive. Some people will never apologize. Some people will never explain themselves. Some people will leave without warning. Detachment means understanding that your healing cannot depend on other people behaving correctly. The more emotionally reactive you become, the easier you are to control. Manipulative people study emotional weakness carefully. They learn what triggers insecurity, fear, guilt, and loneliness. Once they understand your emotional patterns, they can influence your decisions without you even realizing it. That is why emotional discipline is one of the highest forms of power. It protects your freedom. It protects your clarity. It protects your future from being shaped by temporary feelings. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Wherever attention goes, energy follows. If you spend your days obsessing over people who disrespected you, you are investing your life force into pain instead of progress. A detached mind is not numb. It is intentional. It chooses carefully what deserves emotional investment. It understands that not every opinion matters and not every disappointment deserves endless analysis. Sometimes the hardest person to detach from is the old version of yourself. The version addicted to chaos, the version that confused anxiety for passion, the version that accepted crumbs because they feared loneliness. But growth demands that you outgrow survival patterns. You become magnetic when you stop chasing, not because people suddenly become more important, but because calm confidence creates natural attraction. People can feel when someone is emotionally desperate, and they can feel when someone is emotionally grounded. Detachment also means releasing the need to control everything. You cannot force timing, you cannot force love, you cannot force understanding. You can only control your effort, your mindset, your habits, and your response to life. Most people suffer because they are emotionally addicted to certainty. They want guarantees before taking risks. They want reassurance before moving forward. They want promises that everything will work out perfectly before they trust themselves enough to begin. But life does not offer certainty. Life offers possibility. And the people who grow the most are the people willing to move forward without constant reassurance. Detachment teaches you how to trust yourself even when the outcome is unclear. It teaches you how to remain grounded when life becomes unpredictable. It teaches you how to stop collapsing emotionally every time something does not go according to plan. There is strength in becoming emotionally self-sufficient. It means you no longer depend on constant praise to feel worthy. It means rejection no longer destroys your identity. It means silence no longer creates panic inside you. Emotionally independent people move differently. They think clearly under pressure. They do not beg for attention. They do not force connections. They understand that what belongs in their life will stay naturally, and what leaves was never truly aligned with them. One of the biggest signs of emotional maturity is learning not to react immediately. Most damage happens in moments of emotional impulsiveness. People destroy relationships, opportunities, and their own peace because they react before thinking clearly. Detachment creates space between emotion and action. In that space, wisdom grows. Instead of reacting instantly, you begin observing. Instead of exploding emotionally, you begin understanding patterns. Instead of seeking revenge, you begin protecting your energy. That is real growth. The emotionally reactive version of you wants to prove a point. The detached version of you protects peace instead. You stop arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing explanations from emotionally unavailable people. You stop trying to convince others of your worth because you finally understand that self-worth is not something other people can grant or remove. Your value does not increase because someone praises you, and it does not decrease because someone rejects you. The moment you truly understand that, you become free. Freedom is not about controlling the outside world. Freedom is about no longer allowing the outside world to control your inner state. Most people spend their entire lives emotionally imprisoned by opinions. One compliment makes them feel powerful. One criticism makes them feel worthless. Their emotional state constantly depends on external reactions. But when you detach deeply, you stop riding emotional roller coasters created by other people. You become stable. You become calm. You become focused. And that stability changes everything. Because stable people make better decisions. Stable people build healthier relationships. Stable people recover faster from setbacks because they do not personalize every difficulty as proof of failure. They understand that pain is part of growth, not evidence of worthlessness. At some point, you must decide that your peace is too expensive to keep trading away. You must decide that emotional freedom matters more than temporary validation. You must decide that protecting your mind is not selfish. It is necessary.